And let me play among the stars. Hmm? Oh. Nice eye patch. Hello once again, I'm Hicker. Hicker means light, I do reviews, and that's what's LightReviews. Today I present a review on the fall 2014 anime called Amagi Brilliant Park. Yet another addition to Kyoto Animation's repertoire of sweet as candy titles. Now long before this anime even started, I could already smell the numerous amount of plebs ready to take part in an in-depth discussion on who the best girl is. Fuck off, will you? It's obviously Kobuli. Anyway, let's get stuck in. We follow Kanye Seiya, a narcissistic prick who thinks he's better than everyone else, as he is made to do the things he doesn't want to do because he's the only one who can do it. In short, My Life the Animation. Sorry about that intro, here's another one. The fate of the park rests on the hands of our main protagonist, who more or less looks like a main protagonist. Basically he will save the park because she threatened him with a gun, and now we're presented with a MacGuffin. Pretty much makes sense already. And from here on out I could pretty much tell where he was going with this, so much so that I was about to give it a rest. But aside from the beautiful animation, it gave me another reason to stick around, and this being the setting. Congratulations, KyoAni, we're finally out of high school! For the most part. It's an amusement park, pretty much screams fun already. I'm sure most of us have been to one at least once in our lives, and that somewhat magical experience is brought to question and laid bare in this show. In its exposition, Amagi is quite straightforward. It doesn't waste any time and just tells us its purpose right off the bat. There are no metaphorical suggestions or subliminal messaging. And though it does tuck in a few puns here and there, it's not too complicated for an average viewer to understand. You know, seeing as how it's so good at making puns, I decided to make a few jokes of my own. That was a nice landing! Baby, you blow me away. See you next water time. You're fired. The show derives most of its humor from how it just places fantastical characters in real-life situations. Oftentimes these characters are shown to have no common sense, and while there really were characters with no common sense, the majority are portrayed as beings who do know the world. This is where it gets interesting because Amagi, it's less of a fusion of reality and fantasy type of story, and more of a satire of said reality. Take for example these guys. It's easily understood that they're portraying actual human beings, somehow giving us a clue as to what kind of guys wear these costumes in real life. And by this it's somehow providing a commentary on the jadedness that's seen within the working class, and how lazy people are becoming. For the most part, there's an integration of concepts and references that may only be fully understood if in a Japanese context. Japanese pop culture pretty much saturates the entirety of this thing. If you're not familiar with certain references, and or just new to anime, no need to be shy, then you may end up ignoring a big chunk of this, and that's a shame. But I'm not saying you won't be entertained. In fact, it's a very fun show to watch, especially when the show makes full use of its setting. It's very imaginative in the way it sets up a stage for our characters to take part in, while not becoming too literal so as to sustain comic relief. In this manner it doesn't overstay its welcome, rather it does the opposite. You want it to stay longer, but it won't. Being the very comedic and light-hearted show that it is, it ends up taking the easy way out when it does get cornered, when it does get too ambitious. Okay, everything's pretty much fucked up now. How do we get out of this? And then there's the bland conclusion. I mean, for the majority of its 12 episodes, it does this over and over again. You have the intro, clusterfuck, and then bland conclusion. It's so trapped in its plot-convenient state of mind that it didn't even care that it was getting too ridiculous. And yes, 12 episodes. I didn't consider the 13th episode an episode because that episode was more like of an OVA than an actual continuation. It was pointless to say the least. What's even more pointless is the very misleading foreshadowing at the end of each episode. They should have just stuck to the usual and put a preview in there. But you know, maybe there was an artistic touch. Maybe I'm just thinking too much. So fuck that. I'll stop looking for deeper meaning in this show because that doesn't seem to matter. Seeing how straight to the point it is in terms of messages being conveyed. Entertainment is something people work for. How beautiful something is in front doesn't directly correlate with how it is backstage. Entertainers literally break a leg or two to provide us with something that's both substantial and satisfying. Regardless of my own personal tastes, I will now point out the most obvious reason as to why the show is worth watching. It's done by Kyoto Animation, and whether or not this reason suffices depends solely on you, but for me KyoAni's become one of the most consistent studios in recent years, and I have yet to see an anime done by them that's completely shit. And speaking of shit, oh shit, I forgot to talk about the characters. But then again, there's nothing much to talk about, considering how the main three are just photocopied empty molds of characters. Except for these guys, of course. You know, these little buggers are hilarious. We need more talking mascots in anime. In terms of character development, main protagonist was pretty much the same person as he was in the first episode. in my opinion. Take note also that the show forces sexual tension between, you guessed it right, Kanye and Sento, which we all knew was coming, but with all the stuff that's going on in the anime, a lot less time was given for any romantic feelings to be laid bare. At that point it seemed more like obligatory fan service, and that's just sad. Contrary to how other people would think, KyoAni's animation isn't actually that special. I mean, they do hit the eye at times, but it seems to me that they play it safe too much. Consistency is where they stand at the top, but you have to push the boundaries too if you're gonna keep your audience interested. As everyone else would know, KyoAni specializes in moe, with their very cute character designs and their masterful depiction of multiple facial expressions. But I personally find the backgrounds in KyoAni titles to be the most appealing, regardless of how strange that may sound. Whether it be recreated landscapes or adapted architectural design, all that moe just overshadows how great they are in said category, and that's a bit of a shame for me. But in this anime, the understated skill becomes apparent, because it's mostly about the setting. KyoAni's very own interpretation of the multiple attractions presented in Amagi really made them look like places that you'd actually want to go, or rides that you would actually want to ride. Moving on, the music's great, perfect for this kind of anime. The opening is just damn beautiful. As far as voice acting goes, a bit of a wobbly start for Sento's voice actress Ai Kakuma in terms of pitch. Notice the difference.
メープルランドから来たマスコットたちが住んでいる夢いっぱいのメルヘンエリア。ええ、嫌な夢を見て、まずいカレーを食べて、同僚からいろいろ言われて。そうね。よくわからないけれど。Kudos to Koki Uchiyama. He did a lot of different characters in episode 8, and that's a bit of a feat to accomplish once you've established your character in one project. With all that done, all I can say about this anime is that it's brilliant. If you want a snack of a show, go for it. If you want something serious and deeper, don't. This review's been quite a short one this time around. Pardon me for my laziness. As usual, leave a comment to let me know what you think. Also, if you haven't noticed yet, I already made a Twitter, so go follow me for some updates, and to know what I'm currently watching, that is if you are interested. I hope this review has helped you determine on whether to watch the show or not. Have a nice one. Bye B.